Alrighty, welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate. We are here with Jasmine Willois, president of the Note Assistance Program. Before the break, we were just talking about, what inspired us to get into the business that we do here. And I just wanted to pass the question to you. What really attracted you to notes, first of all? Because you made the transition from Wall Street. So how did you make that leap?
Well, it was actually written in the cards, I'd like to say, as most of you guys will find yourself at note investing. I think you'll find that the path was leading us here, right? So this is one of the truest form of passive investing that I found. Before that, I was doing a lot of turnkey investing, so providing properties for myself and my clients. A lot of them were from the Wall Street background that I had there. And my clients, we were providing them some turnkey investments, so rentals. So one of the things that attracted me to this was that you didn't have to deal with the tenants or toilets in the trash. So that's something that, as we ended this first segment, we were talking about how we found and met you, right? And so
Right.
you were coming from the bodyguarding and personal executive security section of everything. So that's really the two of us looking for what's a more passive way, right?
Absolutely.
To secure this income and this lifestyle. So that's really where I created this, to find people like yourself who had that similar mindset and knew that this is something that we could find, especially because we were exposed to it. Many of us are not exposed to that opportunity, so we are not necessarily, it's hard for us to really believe that it's tangible.
Right.
But once you see it from your side, from my side of things, being on Wall Street, when you actually see that, dare I say, that opulence, right? You're like, I can get, even if I get close to that, things are going to be nice. So really what inspired me to get this program started was to find like-minded people who wanted to get involved and know what was behind what was happening on Wall Street with these hedge funds. And what you'll find is that a majority of these funds out there, what they comprise themselves of is paper, right? Well, it's a form of loans for residential mortgages, right? Some are business-backed loans, but these hedge funds really are out there in the business of paper. And that's really what I wanted to get out there and start being the Pied Piper, if you will, and letting everyone know that this is something that all of us can get involved in, right? Whether you're fresh out of high school and you just have to have the capacity, right? Whether you're looking to get rid of your 9-to-5, as you mentioned earlier, this was a space that, God willing, if you were able to wrap your head around it, you can make that type of money.
Absolutely. And I'll say, before I was officially the trainer and mentor of the Gnosis program, I was a student myself. I signed up in 2018, which seems like forever ago now. But what really attracted me to this business was, again, like you said, these kinds of returns and this strategy. I knew at the get-go what I didn't want to do. The stock market, as much as it sounds fascinating to me, just the radical, volatility that it can have, the swings, and you could do the best due diligence, ever, and something completely out of your control can happen, and that's just it. And with notes, we have, in our process, we have a method of doing our complete due diligence. We know that our, investment is backed by the physical asset itself, and in that we have security. Right.
And that's really what this is about, right? It's about figuring out how we embrace risk around here, right? So first thing you want to know is that we're out there buying things that the average investor doesn't either know about or have the stomach for, right? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about, especially when we're buying that non-performing product, we're embracing risk. But once you learn how to manage that risk, it's really a little bit more, how do I say, palatable, right, than what you are talking about. And how do I know? I did, as a stockbroker, right, work out on the stock market. And so there's really no place for the average investor, if you ask me, when it comes to the ups and downs of the stock market. So some of the smartest money out there is either in the bond market, another form of paper, right? Or they're out there doing this residential lending. So a lot of you know about this from the private side, where you're originating loans and things of that nature. We just feel more comfortable jumping into this whole conversation once the deals has been made, right? So once the paper has been created, meaning the borrower has sat down and agreed to the terms, and the lender has put terms forth that are agreeable for that borrower. So for example, we just secured some 20-year notes out of Hemet, California, and you were a big part of that.
Absolutely, yeah. Some mobile home notes in California. I never thought that that would be a possibility that came our way, or my way, even, to be a part of that. So that was definitely a great learning experience.
And you got to think about who would put this type of investment and where would they put it into their portfolio, right? And so
Right.
these are people we work with, some of our sponsors that are self-directed IRA companies, which are just simply retirement firms that you can roll over your previous job savings to, right? Those retirement accounts, and then you can self-direct those, and so you can put those into any form of real estate. We choose our weapon of choice is going to be that first position mortgage, again because we feel a lot better about walking into the conversation after all the promises have been made. Then we show up and we just get to see who's keeping their promises, right? And then we act accordingly. So sometimes that means just collecting that passive income, which is one of our favorite things to do. And sometimes that means we will have to have a more cordial conversation than the big banks, which is one of the things we pride ourselves on what we can do as a borrower, with the borrower, in order to make sure that we have some good solutions for either taking the home back, right, and or helping them get back on their feet.
And I think that falls, perfectly in line with our theme of making money and going to heaven. Because
Exactly.
as individual investors, we can pay special attention to each individual asset. Whereas if it was part of a big fund or a big bank, it might just be boom, straight to foreclosure or something like that. So for us, honestly, I mean, some of my first note that I ever did, we had a plan, and you know what?
That was in Michigan, right?
Yeah, in Michigan. And another great perk of note investing, I've never been to Michigan. I've never visited any of the notes that I have in my portfolio, and you don't have to. If I do, it'll probably be for fun. But
Right.
you know, I am in the business of creating win-win situations, making money and going to heaven. The borrower expressed that they didn't want to lose their home. I said, okay, good to go. Let's try and see if we can accommodate that.
What's wonderful about this is that just even with your timeline and then a majority of the people that we invest with in our community, affectionately called the NAP Nation, we are putting this stuff again in our retirement account. So we don't have that same sense of urgency that these hedge funds and that Wall Street has, right? We don't have those quarterly earnings, so to speak. So, a lot of that can be frustrating to that other guy on the other side of things. But here's what I want to kind of put out there to you. The world's changing. Right, we're no longer part of this Gordon Gekko Wall Street type of thing. That's that's frowned upon, and it's not sexy, and no one wants to be a part of that in real life, right?
Right.
And so where we're going now is more towards that. How do we help people and make money? How do we make money and go to heaven, right? And that's what was missing from the 80s, from the early 90s. And what we're here to make a stance about is we're going to make some money, and we're going to make sure that people in the turn either are going to be able to keep their home or they're going to be able to rise from what we would consider these ashes, like the phoenix as they are, right? And give them that
Right.
second chance. For someone who also comes from modest means, a lot of times it's really about being able to let go of a arbitrage that may be on your back and giving a chance to start all over. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on. And your first note, I got to tell you, the amount of returns that you made for being patient, that's really what you're being paid for, because you were able to give them time to go ahead and get the money to pay off their loan, if I remember correctly. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And you know what? That was all throughout the beginning of the pandemic as well. So whether there is, a global catastrophe that's happening, our business is still moving forward. It's still profitable, but at the same time, that person stayed in their home. And that was even, the whole plan with that one. It was non-performing for a while. If it was up to any other bank or hedge fund, it probably didn't stand a chance, withstanding foreclosure or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But because they reached out, we were able to come up with a solution. They found outside financing. We didn't have to do the foreclosure on the record or anything like that.
And they've got a homeowner in Michigan who actually has a deed, which is so rare nowadays.
Absolutely.
In this new day and age when we have what they're doing, build to rent, right? So corporations are coming in, not only trying to buy everything that they have so they can just permanently become landlords and rent it out, and so thus reducing the supply of how many people are actually owning their home, that American dream.
Right.
Imagine that slipping away just because corporate America wants to get involved, right? And so we are here with our intent. As long as we can get these notes performing, we want to make sure that these Americans get the deeds to their home and they become homeowners and have a chance to get some of that same profit that corporate America is getting and pass it on, right? A lot of us, this is about legacy. So really, when we sit here and talk about why we choose first position mortgage note investing, it's not only because of passivity involved, right? As he mentioned, he's investing all over the nation, not traveling all over the nation.
Only if I want to.
Right, not until he's ready. But also because this is an opportunity for us to do what's right for America and fight back against that big corporate beast and machine that's out there. This is something that I was willingly a participant in, right? When I signed up to Wall Street, I was like, let's go capitalism, right? So really, when we talk about the Note Assistance Program, we are here to make sure, one, that you guys are educated on what type of impact you can have as a bank, right? So that's what we talk and teach through our proprietary process. What type of impact you can have on not only the profits and your bottom line, the borrower, but also the community that's there. A lot of these are blighted properties, and we're the ones that have the courage to go in there and take care of it and the borrower.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're hearing, you can call 855-541-6683 or email education@noteassistanceprogram and find out more about starting your own note journey and beginning in note investing.
I believe that email is going to be invest@noteassistanceprogram.com. We apologize for that. Yeah.
Invest@noteassistanceprogram.com. My apologies.